YouTube fan community, what's your spin fans, Melanie fans, random people on the internet. My name is Giggens, and we are here today for a new episode of What's Your Spin with everyone's favorite, Your Summer Dream on Instagram. Melanie, how's it going? Music fan, content creator, beach boy
Ah,
gal, how's it going?
good. Yeah. Feeling good. Feeling great. Good to be here.
Happy to have you on the show. For those of you watching for the first time, this is a show where I talk to music fans who love a certain band. It could be any band they want. And I just want to fill up a little corner of the internet with something happy, where people talk about happy stuff for a half hour and just enjoy some lighthearted, cool banter, because the internet kind of sucks. So let's talk about some fun stuff. And what's the band you want to chat about today, Melanie?
Well, everyone would expect me to say the Beach Boys, but I actually do like other bands, contrary to popular belief. But they are from Hawthorne, California as well, and they are brothers. It's Red Cross.
Ooh, Red Cross.
Yeah.
Melanie, what's your spin on Red Cross?
Woo! Red Cross. Oh my goodness. My love for Red Cross all started when I was about 10 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I have a very vivid memory of it, and I always think about it whenever I listen to it. It's so funny. I was sleeping in my bed, and it was probably about 1 o'clock in the morning, and we had an earthquake, and I freaked out. California life, it's awesome. I freaked out, and I was like, "Hey, mom and dad, I'm totally sleeping with you tonight." And they're like, "Whatever." And they had been watching HBO that night, and they fell asleep watching something, and the next movie that came on was a movie called The Spirit of 1776, starring David Cassidy.
Oh,
The movie is super goofy. It's awesome. It's about these like space aliens who like want to learn more about America, and they want to go back to America. They try to like they have like time machine, and they want to go to 1776, but something happens and whoops, someone bumped it, and now they're going back to 1976, where there's discos and afros and all this stuff. And so they land there, and there was this cute pair of brothers in that movie, guest starring Jeff and Steve McDonald of Red Cross, playing their goofy selves in their
yeah.
70s gear and all that stuff. And I was like, who are they? My 10-year-old brain was very like, woo, who are these guys? Thus leading me into the world of Red Cross. And I just like, I love their personalities in the movie. I had no idea they were in a band, but as I
Yeah.
learned more about them, and like I grew up on MTV, so I think around that time they were coming out with the album Third Eye, which
Yeah.
was a nice like mix of like 70s bubblegum kind of like punk rock, type thing. And I just really fell in love with it because they had this really distinct sound. It was like people call it bubble grunge now, but it's like they started off like, as like a kind of a snotty LA punk
Yeah.
band playing with like Black Flag and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
they kind of like married that with their love of pop culture. They grew up around the Beach Boys. They went to, Hawthorne High.
Yeah.
They loved the Carpenters and the Osmonds and the Partridge Family. And they kind of, I think that was the album that kind of put all of that together,
Yeah.
made this like really unique sound, which I just loved. It was all the stuff I loved. I grew up watching the Monkees and all that stuff, and so it was like these guys are super groovy and they like all that stuff, but they also have that hard edge like punk stuff that I like as well. And
Yeah.
they're just great. So I just went from then on. I just really, really loved that band, and I've seen them live so many times. They put on an amazing show, and I just love how eclectic they are. Every album is sort of different. I feel like they only release an album like once every 10 years, but
I know.
it's just so amazing to like see their progress and like where they came from. It's like the grassroots of like the early punk stuff. I mean, Steve McDonald being like what 12 years old, like playing in that band,
Yeah.
like they're just being like, come on, you can play the bass, let's go. And then little snotty kids to growing. Yeah, it's just incredible. And I just love their outlook on like how music is. Like I love they wear that love of cheesy pop culture on their sleeve. Like no one was doing that back then, especially them. I remember when that tribute album to the Carpenters came out, and that was
Yeah.
at the time, like, no, I mean, it was like late 90s. Like no one cares about the Carpenters, right? But
Yeah.
they were just like, yeah, no, screw it. Like we love them. Like we grew up with that stuff. Like we're very into it. And I just thought that's so cool of them. Like, they have an album of covers that is like just so random and amazing. Like they obviously love Kiss, but they love, like Crazy Horses by the Osmonds. Like I loved all of that stuff. They did some Beatles covers. They just did whatever they wanted, and they were so eclectic that I really was really attracted to that, because growing up I was always the weird kid. So I felt like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I can hang out with the McDonald's anytime.
Yeah. Yeah, that covers album is good. Like they do the Shangri-Las, they do Heaven Only
Oh
Knows.
yeah.
Love
So
that.
amazing. Yeah, I just love their take on it. I mean, they do a song from Bewitched. Like they're just so, I mean, every little niche, like kitschy thing. I'm like, that's me. I like that too. And I just
Yeah,
think that's so cool.
completely your aesthetic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
is that Carpenter's album? Is that the same one that Sonic Youth was on doing?
It is.
You
Yeah.
love me, you told me you love me, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If I were a carpenter, I believe is the name of the album, and
Okay.
that actually really got me into the Carpenters.
They're
So
great.
yeah, I mean they're fantastic, right? I mean,
Yeah.
when I was growing up, it was like, oh, that's just like cheesy, like. But no, I mean that was my gateway. So there we go.
It's funny, like I'm sort of near a town called New Haven over here in Connecticut, and they were born
Yeah.
here in New Haven, which is
Oh,
I moved to California.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's
It's
amazing.
wild.
So great.
When you were discovering Red Cross and you said you got into them around the time of like Third Eye, when you were like going out to look for their CDs, were you kind of starting at square one or picking up what the newer stuff was, or what was it like to get
Well,
into their music?
kind of insane because, like I said, they're all over the place, and I grew up in a fairly big town close to San Francisco. I grew up in
Yeah.
Oakland, but where I grew up in Oakland wasn't really like, the record stores didn't really have what I wanted. So I would be like the kid ordering things like, "Hey, do you have
Yeah.
any rock music?" And they're like, no. Yeah, like we don't do that here. Weird black girl. So I would like, trek to like Berkeley, California and like try to go to like Amoeba and stuff and get stuff there.
Yeah.
So, and I would I would like not eat lunch for a couple weeks just so I could save my lunch money and cut school and buy records. I mean, it was a great time to be alive. It was really fun.
Kids these
And
days
back
will never
then,
know the pain. Yeah.
oh yeah, for sure. But like back then you could go and like the things that I was into were always in the dollar bin, right? It's
Yeah.
like nowadays, like an album is like $40.
I
Then it was
know.
like, yeah, then it was like, oh, Surf's Up for $1. I remember finding that. It's amazing, right?
How
Can't do
cool.
that these days. But anyway, so
Yeah.
yeah, I just remember going there and whatever I could get my hands on. So it was a little uneven what I was finding. It was like, okay, cool, Third Eye, that's out right now. And then it was like, oh, okay, let me buy the first album because I know I like this band. Then I get home and be like, wait, like this
Who
doesn't
is
sound
this?
like Red. Who is this? Like what? I remember when I first met my husband 1,000 years ago. He found this album, and it's funny. It's called Hell Comes to Your House, I believe. It's like a compilation album for a soundtrack film that's mostly about goth bands, and I didn't realize that Red Cross was going by Red Cross with the C until they got a cease and desist. They were like,
Right.
"No, you can't do that anymore."
Right.
So
Right.
on the album, there's Red Cross on there, but with the C, and I'm like, first of all, this can't be them. It's not with the K. Second of all, this is on an album with like goth bands, Christian Deaths on there. I'm like, there's no way. And it's a cover of Puss in Boots by the New York Dolls. And so that really threw me for a loop. I was like, who is this band? I keep finding this crazy stuff. Who are they? And I think that made me love them more. Like I said, like every album is just like, oh, okay, that's what you sound like now. That's totally
Yeah.
fine. It seems natural. So yeah, when I first started getting into them, it was like just finding any album I could and just kind of piecing it together in my brain, like, this must have been the time era where they were doing this. Okay, got it. And nothing's very linear. They don't let on what they're going to do in the next album. They just kind of do what they want, and it's a wild ride trying to figure out their career and like follow them. It's amazing.
That's the thing. I mean, when you were getting into them, there was no internet as we know
Yeah,
it, or at all.
right.
And
Exactly.
when you were discovering the other sounds, was it kind of like, is this still the same band, or were you just kind of putting pieces together and being like, I guess they just changed over the years, or what was
I
it?
mean, yeah, a little bit of both, right? Because there was like really no one. There was no one to like talk to about it. They weren't popular enough. I mean, they still aren't that popular.
They're not that big, yeah.
Exactly. Like they're kind of getting their little heyday now with the book that's come out and the movie that's come out and the
Movie,
touring they're doing. And they've
yeah,
been on like late night shows. And like, I feel like just now people are like, oh, right. But back then it was like, there's no way. So I had to, with no internet, of course, just like piece it together myself and be like, okay, this is clearly the same band. I think I'm like, there sounds like there's a girl in the band. Oh no, that's just young Steve. It's like, okay. And I would just like hang out at the record stores and just talk to these like older guys and be like, well, tell me about this. And they'd be like, oh, well, la, la. So like, it was like word of mouth for me. It was like, I just had to dig. I had to just like figure it out. Which is, I miss those days. Now I'm just like, what's on Wikipedia? What's up with this band? Oh, okay.
it's so easy now, and I
I
feel like,
know.
which is great. I love
Yeah.
that we have access to the world's human knowledge at our fingertips, but like,
Right.
something to be said about like discovering something.
Oh my God, it's so amazing. And that's
And
how I felt when I found them.
right,
It was like I was an archaeologist and I was uncovering this amazing band, and now it's like now I feel weird if like a band comes out and I'm like, how have I not heard of them? You know what I mean? Because it's like everything is everywhere. I'm like,
It's funny with Red Cross. Just a quick aside from for me, like I've talked to people over the years who were like, "You should listen to Red Cross. You would like them." I'd be, "Oh, I'll get around to them." And then a year would go by. You should listen to Red Cross. You would like them. And I'd be like, "Finally, I'll listen to Red Cross." And so like I've known about them for years, but I haven't really done like a full-on deep dive with these guys. I know about the transition from sort of punky
right.
members left to go to Black Flag, and
Yeah.
they started doing their own thing. What is your sort of favorite era of the
Hmm.
band? Are you more nostalgic for when you got into them, or do you enjoy the younger punky stuff, or like the new album, the self-titled?
Right. Oh,
Great,
the new album is
it's awesome.
incredible.
Yeah,
So good. I gotta say, it's funny. It's like I go through phases, obviously, and like I one of my favorite genres of music is just like early LA punk. Like I just
yeah,
love it, Descendants, Adolescents, like DI. I love all that stuff. Like I feel like I feel like whatever you kind of were like becoming in junior high and high school, like whatever little subculture you liked and you kind of grew out of, you always go back to it when you're an adult. And I'm like, as I've become older, I'm like, no, I'm still that little punk kid. So I love that era of them. But I
yeah,
gotta say my favorite era is like right after Third Eye, more so like my favorite album is Neurotica, where I feel like they were experimenting with sounds and budge, and I love that about them. But I feel like that album is very cohesive. Like they really were like, this is what we sound. This is us. Like
yeah,
we've been, playing around with this, and we do this, and we can do all sorts of like sounds. But like, if someone's gonna ask, like, what does Red Cross sound like? Like that would be the album. Like that's the one that really like established them as like this is our sound.
yeah,
And I love it. It's like it's got everything. It's like that like kind of harder edge punk stuff, but it also does have that bubble grunge people talk about where they kind of like carved out that niche. Um, the hooks are there, so it is very bubblegummy.
yeah,
And the pop culture references are all there. They're talking about, George Harrison in one song. They're talking about Tatum O'Neal, and
yeah.
it's just really funny. Name dropping things like the Rainbow in LA. Like it's just, I think it's a masterpiece. So Neurotica for me, like that era, like yes, like late 90s, like that is it. Like that album to me, back to front, no skips, amazing.
Ooh, no skip, no
A no
skip.
skip, a
I'm
no
in.
skip album.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that one for me, as I was going through their discography, that was the first one it sounded like they had a producer. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, someone actually sat behind a board for this one. Like, this is cool.
Yeah. Right.
It
Right. It
sounds
really
like
did
a
change.
band.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a
Yeah.
record. Um, when you look at their discography, is there anybody around who sounded like them at that time? Like when you were discovering them, was there anybody kind of in the same ballpark as them?
Honestly, I don't really think so, which I feel like makes them very special, but I do see um like I guess little traces of their sound in other bands sometimes, and it's really funny because it's a very controversial thing. When the movie came out and people were kind of talking about it, they mentioned going on tour with Stone Temple Pilots back in the day. Stone Temple Pilots, when they were first coming up, actually opened for Red Cross on a tour.
Huh.
And fast forward a few months later, their album, I believe Purple, came out, and they have a song on there that literally could be a Red Cross song. And it's just really funny because I remember like the little clip in the movie they're talking about it, and they're like, they stole our sound. And then you watch the video, and Scott Weiland's got like bell bottoms on, and there's like a whole Brady Bunch thing going on. And I'm like, I wonder who influenced you with that one. That's interesting, but I don't think anybody really sounds like them. I just
No.
they are, and that's why I love them so much, right? It's just like they don't really fit. It's funny because I say like, oh, I love like hardcore or like LA punk and stuff, and I have like an LA punk mix I put on all the time, but like I put them on there because they're technically like LA punk, but they don't fit. Like it's
Right.
interesting. Like they never really sounded like anybody, so it's like they're just kind of on their own. Like that's just a Red Cross playlist. I can't put them anywhere,
How,
and I think that's really special.
yeah, because it's the world of their own. But like,
Yeah, absolutely.
how would you describe their fan base? Like, have you, you've gone to shows, like, and you meet
Oh, so
people there.
many.
What's it like to meet these other people? Like, oh, this is our little band. What's that like?
I think the fan base, and I said this actually the last time I saw them, which was like a few months ago. I think the fan base is just as eclectic as the music. It's all kinds of people. It's like, it's all kinds of people there. And it's so funny. I saw them a few years ago play for like a Halloween show at the Gilman, which was kind of incredible because it's like, we're
The
at the
Punk
Gilman. I
Club?
used to go here. Yeah, the Gilman. Yeah, in Berkeley. I know.
Yeah. Oh my
insane. But I
God.
thought it was so cute because there were like all these younger kids there who were like, "Yeah, Red Cross." I'm like, "Oh, that's so cute. You weren't even born when they happened." And then all these adults who were finding chairs and just sitting down in the middle of the dance floor. I'm like, that's more my age. I get it.
That's
And it's just like
yep.
so all ages, all kinds of people, and it's like because I feel like there's something about them that appeals to you're gonna find something. Like that's
Yeah.
how varied I feel like they are. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Do you feel like there's any modern bands that are influenced by them? Because when I hear that bubblegum grunge phrase is hilarious to me. Like
Yeah.
when I think of bands like maybe like the Lemon Twigs, I wonder if they're fans in
I
some
yeah.
separation of degrees, you know?
I could absolutely see that. The Lemon Twigs kind of have that dynamic where they're like, they love a certain era of pop culture. It's not just the music. It's like and I think that's what makes Red Cross special too. It's not just like, oh, well, we like the way the music sounded back then. Like they like
Yeah.
everything, like the fashion, they like the movies, they like the very underground references of things. They'll like do something that's like an homage to something that's totally like underground. And you're like, I get that. And I
Yeah.
feel like the Lemon Twigs absolutely do that.
And the brother,
Um, what's that?
they're
Oh, and
brothers.
the brothers. Yeah, exactly. You got the brother dynamic, they both love a good hook,
Yeah.
like that's the one thing about Red Cross too. It's like even when they were doing their like cute little punky thing, they still had those hooks, and I just think that's so cute. And I'm a sucker for pop music. Like I just, so that's why I love them. I'm like, I want something catchy. I want it to be 2.5 minutes long and I want it to have a really good hook. And like I love that. So they check all those boxes for me. But I feel like another band that kind of, I mean, it's kind of hard to say because they have a million albums and every album is different, but I still think the work ethic and like the creation side of it is kind of the same would be King Gizzard. I feel
Mhm.
like I definitely see some of that in a few of their albums. I know they have like 40, but I see like I do see I do see a little bit of that like if even if they didn't like them, I'd be like, I know you would like them if you listened to them. I feel like
Absolutely.
they're kinship to me in my head. I'm like, it's kind of one and the same. If I was gonna make a playlist, I'd probably put them both on there.
Yeah.
So maybe not so many people I see like sound wise influenced by them, but like just the whole attitude and like
Spirit.
fashion wise and spirit. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
just like we like things that are fringe and,
Yeah.
that's what we're going to do. And I'm like, that's fantastic.
So I know the guys in that band are brothers, and they're from Hawthorne, and one of your other big favorite bands is from Hawthorne. What does it mean to you to see another band from a town that otherwise I don't think we would even know about if it wasn't for the
Right.
Beach Boys? What does it mean to you to see a band come out of that area and be like, wow, like, is there like a Hawthorne scene, or is there just something in the water? And then like to add on to that, what does it mean to you that like family can create something so deeply embedded that it's just with them forever? It's like their
Right.
sound, you know? What's that like?
Yeah. Well, to the first question, that's funny. I never thought about like a Hawthorne scene, which is hilarious. But it kind of makes sense. It's like, these kids who were probably bored, they live in proximity to like somewhere cool like LA or whatever, or even
Yeah,
Pasadena, a big city, to sit and create something that like kind of showcases where they live. So like when the Beach Boys, like, they kind of gave us a window into their life with a lot of those songs where like you got those like good times, suburban, hanging out on a Friday night, driving your car around, like
yeah,
it kind of shines a light on like what life was like in a small town like that. And I feel like Red Cross does the same thing, but kind of on a different aspect where they're kind of bored and they know they live in a small town and they're the weird ones. And it just kind of like they weren't in that big scene, but they created their own little scene by just
yeah,
being weird.
right.
The funny thing, the last time I saw them, actually, they were like, okay, we're gonna just play every song off of our first EP, and everyone's like, yeah. And they're like, Be True to Your School was a song that was written about our high school. And everyone's like going crazy in the crowd. And they're like, yeah. And we wrote a song about that high school too. It's called I Hate My School. One, two, three, four. And I just thought that was so cute because it was like, you've got Be True to Your School on one side and you got I Hate My School. And it's just like, in that like decade of time, you can see how things change. These kids are getting a little more like angsty and
Yeah,
it's really cute. But you do get that like down home kind of small town, like do it yourself kind of vibe from both
yeah,
bands, really, which I
that's so
think is
cool.
interesting. Um, and then the second question, I've talked too much and I forgot what you said.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, just about like family. Like the family
Oh,
unit
right.
of the Beach Boys was like there's a blend that only siblings can have. So like
Yeah.
What's that mean for you for Red Cross?
Oh man, I mean it's very apparent there too. And you're
Yeah.
right, there is a blend that only siblings can have. It's like I'm a terrible singer, but my sister's a great singer, and we actually did some background vocals for a friend's band, and us harmonizing together was like, wow, that's kind of dynamite because
Wait,
you
it
don't
happens.
it happens. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, like we do sound alike. And I think that with Red Cross's dynamic, I mean, not only do they sound great together, but I think the way they feed off of each other, it's like
Yeah.
it's one thing growing up and being like, I'm the weird kid, I'm gonna do the weird stuff. But when you have like your baby brother doing the exact same thing and like you can kind of like rely on each other for that, I think that that's really great. And I think that's what sustained them because they've gone, it's always been the brothers. They've gone through many different band members, but like when
Yeah.
it comes down to it, Red Cross is Jeff and Steve, and like they're both weirdos and it's so authentic, and they have each other to lean on for that. And I think that's so special. Like I love that for them. I feel like it's harder for like a solo artist per se who is kind of on the fringe or whatever. They don't really have that like outlet, but Jeff and Steve can bounce off of each other, and it's like they're
Yeah.
one and the same, and it's
Yeah.
great, and it makes the love of music even deeper when you have the love of the person you're making music with too. So
They're on that
yeah.
same wavelength. They know exactly what the other person's gonna do, and you can feed off of that.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. And it's really apparent when you listen to the music. And so that's why I love it so much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a couple more questions for you.
Sweet.
And um, you're when you post pictures of like whatever room you might be in, there's always really cool, kitschy, antique vintage, groovy things, particularly with Beach Boys. Do you have like Red Cross memorabilia? Because like I know you're wearing the shirt, but like do you have like
Right.
stuff from them, or what's their
It's so funny. That's one of the bands. Well, I wish. It's funny. I've always complained about how the Beach Boys have like just nothing to like. I can't like. I mean, I did will the pops to happen. I will take credit for this.
Thank you.
I predicted
Right
that,
there.
right?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you
But
for
like,
that.
yeah, but like, yeah, with Red Cross, I think it's even more like there's really not much. I mean, it's even hard to find a T-shirt. It took me forever to find this, and they don't do merch. There's a woman named Vicky Brent, I believe, who did the artwork for the album Third Eye, and she does like kind of big head drawing type, like keen painting, and she did keen paintings of the whole band during that era. And so she's an Etsy store, and she still sells stuff, and she still sells like the prayer candles of Jeff and Steve, or she'll make like a necklace, and that's like the coolest thing ever. But other than that, there's really not much. It's all very like crafty DIY things that you'll find, which I feel like really does make sense for the band. You know what I
Kind of
mean?
their
There's like
thing.
you don't go into like a music store or whatever or someplace and like find Red Cross stuff. But if you
No.
go on Etsy, people are making things, and it's like that makes sense. Like that makes sense. So
Punk.
in
Yeah.
terms of like merchandise from them,
No.
I have records. That's
Right.
like I have this records and this T-shirt I wear to death, and that's like
They
it.
printed music. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's kind of lame because I am a collector. I like little tchotchkes. I love little things, but I feel like it makes sense for them to not really have much going on. I mean, we were lucky that we got the book and the movie coming out. So I'm
I
like, you know
know
what?
that.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the way it's meant to be.
Yeah. It's kind
Yeah.
of their vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
What is something you would how do I even word this? How would you describe like the impact that Red Cross has and what they mean to music and what people should get out of their music?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, I guess for me, and I think maybe this would resonate with other people, but like I said, when I first discovered them, I was like, 10 and kind of just coming into my own, like what I like. I mean, I had just bought my first album ever by myself the year before, which was the B-52's Cosmic Thing.
Hell
Um, yeah, right. I was like, I bought it with my own money, and I already knew I was going to be that weird kid. And my parents were like, yeah, you're that weird kid. Like they would tell me, like, you're weird. It's cool. And I just feel like finding Red Cross was like, oh right, that's like there are other weird people out there too that are like super cool, and I will find them one day. And
yeah.
their music represented all of that stuff, and they weren't confined by boundaries. It wasn't like, oh well, we're a punk rock band, so we just do this. They were like, yeah, we're a punk rock band right now, but like, we love the Carpenters, we love the Osmonds, we love the Brady Bunch songs, like they didn't care about any of that. And I think that's so cool. Like
Yeah.
no one was dressing like them, no one was wearing like bell bottoms and like you know what I mean? Like they
Stretchy
just
pants. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
floral shirts. They were just doing whatever they wanted to, and they were just being weirdos about it. But
Yeah.
it was so authentic. It wasn't like they were trying to like, oh, we're standing out or whatever. They were like, this is who we are. And I think
Yeah.
it kind of makes you feel like, yeah, I should just be who I am. Like you can see the happiness that they have just walking around being them. And I'm like, that's what I want. So I feel like that's what people would take away. You know, you can hear it in their music, you can see it in their looks for sure. And you're just like, oh, these guys are weirdos and that's cool. And they love it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, last question and my favorite question of the whole show. If an alien from outer space came to your house and knocked on your front door and said, I want to listen to Red Cross, what's the first album I should play? What's the first album they should listen to?
Oh, absolutely. 100% Neurotica.
Oh, okay.
100%. That is the album. That to me is like I said, it's perfect. Back to front, no skips, all bangers.
It's one happy alien then. Easy
It's
answer.
Happy Alien.
Well, Melanie, thank you so much for being on
Thank you for
What's
having me.
if you feel cool with it, where can people find you? If you want to put that out.
Oh yeah, so I'm on Instagram. You can see my face daily, probably. Your Summer Dream. It's underscore your underscore summer underscore dream. Um, yeah, I'm on TikTok too. Same name, no underscores. Your Summer Dream. There you go.
There you go. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. Leave your comments and questions below if you have anything you want to ask Melanie about Red Cross or about music or what other episodes you'd like to see with somebody to interview. We have a lot lined up, but thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.